Welcome to Talk to the Fish, the show where we help divers get better without getting shellfish about sharing knowledge. We've got a message from Bass Moves asking about GF99. That's gradient factor 99%. Not great fish 99%, which sounds like a seafood market special. GF99, clearly someone's got a math PhD and forgot to tell us about it.
Actually, Jack, that's a brilliant question. It affects safety more than you'd think.
So Regis, how can you help our divers understand this cryptic code better?
So GF99 is essentially your nitrogen pressure gauge showing your internal pressure versus the water pressure around you when you ascend. At 0%, the nitrogen in your tissues stays put, no movement in or out.
So your body's basically on pause, nitrogen-wise.
Between 1 and 49%, you get small bubbles forming, safe but steady. Then from 50 to 100%, you're blowing more and bigger bubbles. Still manageable, but pushing limits.
Getting frothy without getting faulty.
But if you hit over 100%, call a doctor because that's when things get serious. Like a pressure cooker without a release valve.
You got it. And diving requires this balancing act. You need some pressure difference to off-gas, but too much creates problems.
Think of it as adjusting your car's speed. You want to get home quickly, but speeding creates risks.
The trick is finding that sweet spot where efficiency meets safety, right?
Right? When you're diving, the GF99 tells you 3 important things. Whether you're absorbing nitrogen or releasing it, how well you're off-gassing, and what decompression stress you're creating.
And what about higher GF99 values?
Higher values mean faster nitrogen release, which sounds good. We want to get rid of that nitrogen before we surface. But here's the catch. Higher values also mean more microbubbles forming.
The body's own bubblegum machine.
Too many microbubbles leave you feeling tired after your dive. It's finding that Goldilocks zone where you're off-gassing efficiently without turning your tissues into a foam party.
So divers need to watch their GF99 during ascent to avoid feeling like they've run a marathon underwater. It's all about balancing speed with safety, efficiency with comfort, and getting that nitrogen out without making your body angry.
Remember, a smart diver returns to the surface refreshed, not exhausted.
Thanks, Regis. That's probably the clearest explanation of GF99 I've heard since I learned to count past 3.
Let me show you a real scenario. During ascent at around 10 meters of depth, your GF99 hits 60%, which means you're off-gassing quickly. That's good for nitrogen removal, but you're creating more microbubbles that might leave you tired after the dive. It's running a race at full speed. You finish fast, but you're spent.
So you're basically turbocharging your nitrogen removal, but paying for it with a turbo nap afterward.
By lowering the GF99 to around 30%, you still off-gas efficiently, but with fewer microbubbles. It's running at a comfortable pace where you finish the race, ready for another one.
And personally?
Personally, I aim for 25% in the last meters. That's my comfort zone for balancing speed with safety. Below 10 meters, I'm usually around a GF at 5%.
So you've found your Goldilocks zone where everything's just right. Not too fast, not too slow, but perfect for turtling along.
Here's something interesting about shallow dives. During your safety stop at 5 meters, the GF99 might show 2%, hardly any off-gassing happening, but adjust up to 3 or 4 meters and suddenly you're at 15%. Much better efficiency. You can actually tune your ascent based on what the GF99 tells you.
Whoa! So it's like finding that sweet spot on the radio where the signal comes in clear. 1 meter makes all the difference between static and dance hits.
Exactly. It's about working with your body rather than against it. The GF99 lets you make smart decisions during ascent. Stay too deep and you're wasting time. Go too shallow too fast and you risk fatigue. This real-time feedback helps you find that perfect pace for optimizing both safety and energy levels.
That's like having a fitness tracker for your nitrogen levels. So divers can fine-tune their ascent, like I fine-tune my scales. Hit the right notes without going flat on energy or too sharp on microbubbles.
The GF99 turns diving from a one-size-fits-all approach into a personalized experience where you can adapt your strategy to get the best of both worlds, efficient off-gassing without feeling like you've been through a spin cycle underwater.
It's already time to end this episode. Regis, Give us the wrap-up in 3 sentences, max.
GF99 helps you balance nitrogen release with safety during ascent. Find your sweet spot between 20 and 40%. Adjust depth during safety stops to optimize off-gassing.
Thanks for clearing up the mystery of GF99, though I'm still confused about basic math underwater. That's all for today's Talk to the Fish, where we learned how to read your computer's ominous numbers without having a meltdown at depth. Next week, we're unpacking the secrets of perfect buoyancy with a boxfish who thinks the ocean is his personal storage unit. Apparently, he's mastered trim even with all that square footage. Until then, keep those fins kicking, your computers calculating, and your bubbles multiplying. Remember, the only thing that should be rising faster than your GF99 is your enthusiasm for diving. See you underwater, fish fans.
Forget all the troubles and blues. Dive into the blue. Oh yes, talk to the fish.